welcome. Thank you for being here. And we're just going to ask a couple of questions. I'm Gladys, I'm one of the co-chairs.
I'm Brent
This
Lane,
is
the other
Brandy.
co-chair.
And we have Heather, our chairwoman of CB6.
Good evening.
Thank you. And can you please repeat your names, I'm sorry?
Sure. Attorney Ashish Kapoor.
Sherwood Adams.
Thank you. Welcome. All right, so can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, Sherwood?
My name is Sherwood. I'm a New York resident for my entire life. We got a small family, got 2 young kids, and we're looking to open a dispensary in Queens.
All right. Anything you want to ask?
If you could maybe elaborate, because that was one of the questions, why are you looking to go into this business? So maybe you can elaborate on why Queens, what specifically about this location, and what are you looking to do to make this a great addition to our community?
Before he speaks, I just want to mention about the location, because I kind of brought it to the table for him. We're friends, me and Sherwood. I'm his attorney as well. So I actually lived at the building, 9229 Queens Boulevard, when I was in college. My mom had an apartment there. So I knew some people there, and I reached out to a landlord there once we were able to kind of move our application originally with the card license. And it was just one of the areas top on my list. I could speak, and I kind of put words into his mouth, but because I lived here, I knew they developed a lot behind the building when I was there. It's just a much more comfortable place for me personally, and I'm not maybe your consumer, but I just know the neighborhood enough. I lived here for a few years, still have some family and friends that live in the area, so I kind of brought it to the table. Sherwood, I'll let you talk about the operations and everything else, but just want to give my 2 cents.
Thank you.
So that's a major part of why we were there, looked into that location. The other reason we're very close to the 2 big malls, so a lot of traffic. Hope to bring a lot of revenue into the community and employ, a decent amount of people as well.
Okay. Have you noticed that the location that you're looking for is also very near to 2 upcoming shelters? Actually, one of them is open.
Yes.
Already.
Yes.
So what kind of measures do you have to maybe not get the residents of the shelter, or I don't know,
So
we can create conflict of interest in that area?
we put in our outreach plan, and it needs to be updated slightly. We did notice that, we saw it on the map. We kind of want to be in communication with them and understand their needs also. But really, it's going to come down to security and their input. If they have things that they recommend, we're definitely open to it. I don't know their operation as well as they do. They will help guide us, but we will be more than willing to listen to them and make sure we understand why certain customers should not be so openly allowed. Again, we haven't reached out yet because we're not there, but our intent is to reach out to them and be helpful too. Whether it's donating to the cause, giving lectures, giving classes, whatever we could do to help, we're definitely there to help.
Great. I can go next, or do we have?
Well, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, can you speak to, you said you're a lifelong Queens resident?
No, New York.
New York, okay. Have you had any other small businesses in Queens, or
I
venture?
Not in Queens. I own a chimney cleaning service as well. We do the whole tri-state area from Westchester to Montauk, Queens included in there as well. And I've been in business doing that for about 18 years now.
And why the transition to this? Is this an old passion?
Yes, it's been a passion of mine for a very long time. I like to diversify as well, and do everything I can.
Are you going to keep both of the businesses?
Yeah, I'm going to try to. I have a business partner with my chimney company who is probably going to end up taking over, and this is going to become my heart.
Okay.
I see on here that your hours are gonna be 10 to 8, 7 days a week, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're gonna be on site 7 days a week, 10 to 8, 2 little kids.
Well, I can't guarantee that I'll be there 7 days a week, but a majority of my time is going to be spent on location.
And then who would be the person that, or maybe you haven't thought of this yet, but who would be the person that fills in for you?
We'd be looking to hire a local Queens resident that would be able to basically be my right hand. That's going to be going through an interview process starting shortly.
Okay. And so you're looking for somebody who's more local to the area, is that what I'm understanding?
We're definitely looking for a couple of local residents. We want to help the community as much as we can.
Okay.
Did you do a census of the neighborhood? Like, did you just pick a general 10 to 8 p.m. or did you look at the neighborhood and say like, hey, based on this neighborhood, this is a good time for us? Because I've noticed some of the other people that have come in who have wanted to open up this business, they tend to adjust for the weekends because people tend to be out, but I don't see that, it's just a daily, so are you looking to possibly increase your hours on Saturdays and Sundays? Are you looking to increase it when there may be like something happening around the neighborhood or something happening at the mall? Like, I'm just wondering if that's set in stone, or are you looking to?
Yeah, there's not, you know, nothing is really set in stone at the, you know, I'm willing for all the input that anyone, you know, is willing to give me as well. You know, I don't really know the traffic, you know, this is a new industry,
Yeah.
you know, so still learning a little bit as I go here. So of course I would like to be open when there's a lot of traffic, you know, and if that's me closing to, you know, meet those hours, then, you know, I'm more than willing to, you know, do what we have to do to make it work.
Okay. Can you please tell us a little bit more about your delivery services and how you're ensuring age verification?
So the delivery service is not set in stone yet, but age verification would initially probably be done on the computer first, and then double checked upon delivery.
So we're gonna be fully compliant with OCM's guidelines and requirements, but really it's gonna be a two-step verification. Initially, obviously, the point of input, whether it's our POS system will kind of back channel to make sure it verifies and does everything appropriately. Then the delivery person, whether it's the person on bicycle or van, and again, we're not anticipating launching deliveries when we open, but there will be age verification similar to how alcohol gets delivered or any other product that's 21 years old.
And when you do decide, or if you do decide to do delivery, have you thought about it, how you want it to work, two people going, one person, the exchange of payment?
That's gonna be heavily related on two things. One is, obviously, we're limited in the amount that the delivery person can handle. I think it's $2,500 or whatever the state requires. Time of day is key. Obviously, if we're delivering into when it starts getting darker in the winters, I think we would probably prefer a van with a two-person operation, just for their own safety. Forget the product, forget the business, it's just, you know, common sense. So we're definitely flexible. Ideally, we'd like a two-person delivery unit, you know, obviously with the minimum required to actually consult the delivery and not expanding too far. So we don't want our guys going out for hours at a time. It would be more short-based. There's plenty of residential in the area. We assume it would be residential. We're not gonna be able to deliver to a lot of places as is. You know, a very quick turnaround would be in our favor, but we've thought it through. But again, operationally, until we're there day one, I think it's something that's open to discussion.
Thank you.
And you say that you're gonna have 2 security guards. Now, is that 2 positions, so like, because 2 security guards, 2 people working 10 to 8, that's a lot, 7 days a week, so how is that?
So we have, and I've been helping a lot with kind of getting the context, obviously new to Mr. Adams and everything else, but we have reached out to a couple of security companies. The ideal rotation would be 2 men at a time in alternating shifts, so there would be a total of 4 security guards at minimum. We're assuming we need that much security, and obviously when we open, we intend to have that much security, not just, again, to present it, but for our own safety. It is new to us as well. Obviously, there are digital payments, but there is still cash on hand, so we will be looking into every delivery method possible. But ideally, it would be a rotation of 4 or 5 security guards throughout the hours of operation, 2 at a time, maybe 1 at a time in the early mornings if the traffic isn't heavy enough. But again, it's all dictated by the actual traffic flow of customers.
And then are these the same folks that would be doing the deliveries as well?
No,
Okay, so it's a different team of folks?
yes.
And they would have the same security training as the folks who are doing security at the building?
They would have the same ID verification and security about making sure the product is delivered securely. I don't think they would have the same, they're not gonna be, you know, professional trained security guards as we would have on site. If somebody's address is verified or delivered to their home, I don't think we would go to the lengths of having a professional security guard go and deliver the product, but they will be trained on the security measures needed. One, to make sure no underage sales, IDs verified, and obviously protecting themselves, and we'll be offering training courses on what to do in case of an emergency, who to call, emergency contacts, things of that nature.
And there's no dollar exchange on a delivery, everything has to be paid for prior to the people leaving the facility.
And using what to pay with?
So they either order online through our POS system back channeled with our website. So how it works is if someone was to place an order, they have to pay for it online. We have to accept the payment and then we can send it out for delivery. So there's no cash payment accepted, there's no change, there's no upselling, there's nothing. It's you place your order, you get it, similar to like an Uber Eats order, but it has to go through us, there's no third party. So that's how the delivery would work.
Okay, thank you.
Are you using Zelle, Venmo, what kind of payment system?
Credit
are you
cards,
using?
once we get the bank, figure out which bank system they will operate with the POS system, which we'll have
Credit
probably
cards.
prior to opening. We do not accept Zelle. They were not supposed to, or we won't be able to from the beginning, but it's gonna be credit card payments through our processor.
Sorry?
Credit card,
Okay,
I'm
credit
sorry,
card.
just, it might be something new, but I don't think credit cards,
It won't be credit.
I thought there were credit card payments.
yeah, no,
No.
credit cards are not allowed.
So, the only type of where people get confused is, a debit card with a PIN number
Okay.
Yes.
is accepted. If it's a credit card that's actually with, for credit, that's not, allowed yet.
Correction, debit card with a PIN number, as Mr. Adams pointed out.
Okay. I'm like, oh, it might be something new now.
Just wanna go back to
Okay.
that quick question,
Yes,
answer you gave about the trainings. I just wanted to suggest or encourage that when they're doing those trainings, especially for the ones who are doing delivery services, I know you mentioned emergency contact and emergencies, but make sure they do a de-escalation, because we've done this quite a bit, and we've had other companies who do delivery services, and they actually do include a security guard on their outreach, because you just never know what might happen. I'm not saying you all have to do that, I'm just saying if you don't do security guards, I would really highly encourage de-escalation training of those
Absolutely.
people.
No, we definitely appreciate that feedback. I mean, from the inside, I'm sure you guys have more knowledge of what works, what doesn't, to some extent, and we haven't done this yet.
Yeah.
So, we definitely appreciate that feedback.
I have more questions, but please, Lindsay, David, Robert, if you have any questions.
Now, it's a two-tier, where you're located, right near the expressway,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong, they're not ADA compliant, correct?
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so, no.
So how are you gonna work that out? Somebody comes in a wheelchair and they wanna buy, what are you gonna do?
I would hope that, we would have delivery up, I guess, by that point, but if someone was to come by,
I mean, look, I think we're gonna be open to obviously catering to everyone. I know the spot itself probably doesn't have to comply with this, but for our own purposes, obviously, the legal ramifications not included, we would have to look into, it's not a big staircase up, it's a very short second level up. So we would look into making sure we have the appropriate, and maybe keep it on site, that if somebody's there, we'll be able to bring the ramp or do whatever and get them up the stairs. Because legally speaking, obviously, we are a newer business and we don't wanna have any issues. Understanding the building might not need it, but for our own intents and purposes, we will definitely look into having some type of apparatus or something for them.
In case somebody wants to come in.
I mean, it's only fair and right,
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And the second question is a no stand in front of the building?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so, you're gonna have delivery,
yes.
it's gonna be quick and out, you're gonna.
So there, actually, the building itself, the way the floor operation is, there is a back entrance that goes to a garage. So we have access to that garage and we have spaces there. So our intent will be to, if we do van delivery, keep it in the garage, one, for our own safety reasons. Two is it just makes it a lot easier to get in and out of the building, get on side street, get in the LAE, wherever we have to go. We do not intend to keep any delivery or any cars outside in front of the location. One, we can't. Two, we don't want complaints from police. Three, operationally, it makes a lot more sense to be on our level. Literally, it would be like we open this door and we go right to our garage.
But the garage is used by other businesses.
It's only, it has a lock, so it's only available to the tenants of the building. I think 4 or 5 of those units are our landlord. So I don't know what else he operates there. It doesn't look like he has much going on at the moment.
There's a
So.
lot of businesses in that. I actually have a doctor's office in the
Okay.
building, so the parking is for, maybe not for the customers, but when you say tenants, that
It's-
needs to
yeah.
include the business tenants too,
Mhm.
because I've seen people going in and out when I'm going to the doctor's office, and they may extend to customers, I have no idea. but
We
don't-
can't have the customers in the building. That was a big.
Yeah, and I'm not saying yours,
Yeah.
I'm just saying like, I don't know if there are other like, the tenants have patients come in and they end up going to the doctor, and they're like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
hey, you know what, let me go down to the quick dispenser really quick, so I just want you to.
So there's no entrance in. It's a one-way door, it's only for employees to get in and out from the back door to the parking lot, but we wouldn't let any customers come through there. The flow would actually be only to the front, so, nobody will have access from the back, any customers, they would have to go outside and come around.
Gotcha, okay.
And you would be walking out, I know it sounds stupid, I'm just gonna walk you through it.
Sure.
Get an order, you're gonna deliver by 5 o'clock, it's 4:15. You're gonna walk the order out the back door, into the car and leave immediately. The order will never be in the vehicle unattended, correct?
No, we're not allowed to store anything in the vehicle unless it's going out for delivery.
Okay, that was gonna be my question, thank you.
Now, you mentioned also that you're going to have, I am so sorry, that you're going to have security cameras.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the storing of the footage and,
So by default, obviously space is gonna be, I mean, it's all cloud recorded as well, but at a minimum, we intend to have, I think, what was it, Trevor, how many days?
I think it's 30 days, recording, and I think it's battery backup for 48 hours.
too, I thought, maybe they changed it.
I have, yeah, it's whatever the OCM requirements, please don't,
No, it's-
quote me on
They
the
change
exact.
things all the time, so
No,
it's
no,
okay, we
absolutely,
understand.
Absolutely.
We're going off what we know and you're going off what you know, so it's okay, we're not like, oh, no, that's not right.
I appreciate it.
We're gonna kill you over
Yeah.
You said 46, not 45.
Super quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you walk us through the hiring process or even protections for the non-enclosed vehicle delivery? So if they're on a scooter, bike, walking?
So it's just an idea. I don't know that we would actually go that route initially. I want to make sure I know he discussed it, the legality of it. And look, the bigger issue is safety concern. So if we have adequate parking, there's no reason to send people on bikes. It's more things we got to store. And I used to live in that building, but even knowing that it's not going to be easy to put a bunch of bicycles and scooters in the garage. So our van or anything makes a lot of sense. There's no space to put all this stuff. It doesn't make operational sense legally for them to put it outside in front, because it's just the way the flow of the store is. I imagine it would be actually an enclosed vehicle, and hopefully as this becomes more mainstream and things become more open, we would make the transition to bicycles and things like that. Correct?
So I was just wondering, you have here on what products you anticipate on selling, you have obviously what OCM guidelines is, which is listed, but then you kind of go into cannabis, flower, and edibles. Can you just kind of, is there anything else that you're planning to include in that list based on what OCM guidelines suggest? Or is it just cannabis, flower, and edibles?
It'll be the edibles, it'll be, like the, rosin is called, it'll be the drinks.
Tinctures?
I'm sorry, sir?
Tinctures?
Tinctures,
Yeah, it's like a little drip thing, I think.
if we're allowed to, you know, I'm gonna try to offer our customers, you know, a
Variety.
variety and anything that they're looking for that we can, you know, legally sell through the OCM, that's what we're looking to, supply.
And you said drinks too?
Yeah, there are some drinks as well, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is this the only one you're looking to open?
I think it's the only one we're allowed to open for at least 3 years per licensure, because he's a card applicant. I don't want to speak for Mr. Adams, but as his legal advisor, one day we'd hope to open more. Business is good, everyone's happy. I just don't know, I don't think he would know ideally if it's feasible, if it's not feasible. This also, as much as, look, I know I represent a lot of clients and I might be in front of your board again at some point, but you know, he's personally taking a heavy role into this. So I don't know that he would have the time even to open more than one. I mean, let's start with one and God willing all goes well, but that's kind of the mindset as I was talking. I don't want to speak for you.
Maybe once the kids are older.
Yeah, exactly,
So, just real quick.
21, I got 20 years left.
Yeah. So, real quick, you mentioned drinks, so I just wanna confirm that they will not be consumed on site, cause you.
Nothing is allowed to be consumed on site.
Right, okay, awesome.
We did get 2 operation plans.
That was my mistake. So prior
Yeah,
to.
so I was gonna ask you
yes.
who SDA is.
So it was a prior company, Mr. Adams, we submitted for the retail license, but that entity he's not involved in. The application is a token retail, which is his card application through that. There was the injunction, as I'm sure many of you know, so at that point, we put in a secondary application for SDA Wellness. So I had to, obviously, we had these things ready to go, make some changes, but it's token retail.
Okay, totally. What's the story behind the name? I find these names fascinating for these businesses. Yeah.
There's no real story. I mean, I guess we're all sitting around and talking about it, and you know, that's the one that's.
Oh, I think there's a
know?
story. You're just not gonna say it.
Some things are better left for imagination, you know, sometimes.
Oh, those imaginations are wild.
Yeah.
It was the only coherent one that came out of the conversation when we were done, so we stuck with it.
Okay.
So I just wanna ask real quick, so I think when you accidentally added the operation
Yeah.
plan, you may have forgot the logo, and it says here, see attached logo, is that what you brought
I
here?
brought a little.
It does have the logo on top.
It does have a logo on top here, and I also brought, just to give a little bit of the floor plan and some of the colors and vibe. I meant to put it. I brought a stand too for us.
No,
Right.
it's fine, that works.
Yeah, if you wanna take it and
I
pass it around.
appreciate bringing the stand up,
Thank
that's
you.
really,
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
Appreciate
So-
that.
Yeah.
This is lovely,
it's so clean.
can I ask,
Yes.
cause I see I got your lease agreement here.
Mhm.
I just read though that if you put this all in, if you decide to leave,
Yeah, we
you
gotta
can't take any of that with you.
Yeah, we can. Oh, well, we
Um,
can.
It says it says
I know.
right here.
It's in the lease. I help with the lease, so I'm familiar with this.
No, I'm assuming you are. I just it said it like fixtures are not to be removed, so I was like, oh. It's a lot
It's
of work
unfortunate, but
putting
we
into it.
plan on being there. I
That's
mean,
good.
this is, we, I mean,
Listen,
Mr.
we're here for
Adams
the
is.
community, we're here for
is
the
hard
long term, the long haul, you
Yeah.
know?
I think it's so crazy because who's to say that the next person coming
Yeah.
in is gonna want anything to do with the fixtures you've left behind? I find that that's just so foolish.
So, you know, one thing I found in doing this and finding spaces as an attorney is, it's an interesting conversation with potential landlords. It's not something everyone's either open to or even can facilitate, and there's a lot of pushback. So one of the things that we had to do to commit to this was the financial commitment of developing the location. Because for somebody to take their space, I understand that there's a gray area here in New York, we're very open and very accepting of a lot of things, it's not exactly federally on the same level. So it did take a little bit of commitment on Sherwood's part to make sure he's making that financial commitment and bettering the store. And look, the next person might not want it, but there is value in having a built-out location, and that was the trade-off to actually secure the lease.
Yeah.
So again, Mr. Adams is doing everything he can to make sure that he can get this up and running.
At the end of the day, we don't want you to move right away either.
Yeah.
And it's just that when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a really great month to month, but then I can read it, I was like, oh, I don't like
Yeah.
all that money you're gonna be putting in and you can't take it with you. That's why I was like, you know,
It's a trade-off.
yeah. So,
And going back to you being long-term and staying with us, can you
Yes,
tell
ma'am.
us a little bit more about what you plan to do to get back to the community and educate the community?
So,
I got the notes,
got the notes,
I
thank you.
I do have a
Just talk about
plan.
it.
We have a big community plan, and we've been putting this in motion ever since, you know, Sherwood applied originally for the card, because we knew that's what the state's looking for, and two, that was the purpose of this program initially when we applied. So we do plan on sticking to our plan, which is having the 2 charitable events a year. We will have that pilot program, and we do intend to take in local, whether business owners or prospective people who are interested to learn about the business. And it sounds detrimental to our own business, but really, the whole purpose is to educate the community. And the goal for that is not only just to do it for the community, but really, you know, going forward, if we do plan on expanding and we do everything else, my advice was they're gonna look for these programs. So we might as well have these programs, learn from ourselves, and sometimes, especially for sure, we're jumping into this new, you learn best by teaching others. So if we have this commitment, make this program, it's going to be restricted to local community. One, it makes operational most sense. Nobody's traveling, you know, an hour in traffic every day to go through this program. We're dedicating our hours and resources. It needs to be somebody local business owner, because eventually the program's gonna open anyway. And when things open, it might be good for business anyway to be, everybody to be kind of together on it.
yeah.
Thank you.
So, kind of piggybacking off of that,
Yep.
so I just had some clarifying questions. This is, you said you wrote it, so it's very lawyer wording, so I just wanna make sure.
Wordy
See,
is what we use, yes.
Dumb down some stuff for a non-lawyer. So you have here, for the incubator initiative, you have, it's estimated that 2,500 will be required to execute this initiative. Are you asking the person that's selected?
Our commitment.
Okay, so that's what you meant down here for, you're identifying beneficiaries to
Yes.
support that.
Local beneficiaries, and we're
Okay.
gonna, the 2,500 is our commitment.
Great, and then for the spotlight portion, are you saying that you wanna spotlight other cannabis businesses or not, or all types of businesses? I just
All
wanna-
types of businesses. So
Okay.
there's some correlating effect to having any business, right? Whether you have a restaurant, whether you have this, it's just a local spotlight. And even in my local town, when I go out and eat, it's the local deli has a local spotlight, and
Mhm.
there's weird things. It was just an idea to spotlight other businesses, because again, we're the new guys in town. The product is a new product in town. The more support we get from local businesses, the longer we can stay in business. So the whole point is spotlight local businesses, not necessarily other cannabis businesses.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted, when we were talking about community, just to jump on, your location, you know, we talked about the men's shelter, across the street is going to be, a family shelter, family transitional housing, and that's going into the building that now has the mural on the side, the lion mural. Each shelter is run by a different organization, so if you're going to be reaching out to them, understand that they're not, that the one organization that's running the male shelter is not the same as the organization running the women's transitional. Other thing to keep in mind is just down the block to your left on the other side of Burger King is Old Battalion Hall. Now that's been under construction forever, but it's gonna reopen. And since you lived in the neighborhood, you know the types of programming that go on there, a lot of kids programming and so on. Now, it seems to me like you have the security in place that if you're not of age, you don't get in the store, correct?
Yes.
Right. So we just wanna reinforce that for the community's sake, just to understand sort of who some of your neighbors are. And I say that only because it's not that I don't think you understand it, it's just that Battalion Hall's been closed for 4 or 5 years now, and it's gonna reopen, and so some people may think it's just gone, it's not. And then the shelter across the street is brand new construction, and, they're supposed to be having, I think folks move in the next 30 days. We'll see, we were also told that in June. Who knows? So I just wanted to make you aware of that, just so that, you know,
So, I mean, my comment back, I know that wasn't a question, but it's twofold. One is, I think the most important thing for any community, and I have young children, Sherwood has young children, is education. And whether it's a bar, it's obviously something that's consumed by adults. So there needs to be education in the community. And just, saying, oh, there's no entrance policy, it's one thing, but actually educating the community of what the rules are, what the regulations are, what healthy habits are. You're talking about homes, transitional homes, education is always important, which is kind of why we're gonna do the events and try to educate local businesses. And part of reaching out to these communities and local establishments is also to, if the shelters say, hey, this is a family situation, we wouldn't mind going there and giving a seminar also what they're allowed or not allowed to do. So what we're doing and, make our presence known as opposed to in the back shadows of the back alley. Second, as far as, restricting the access, I don't know if Sherwood has it here, I don't know if you guys can see, sorry, it's not bigger. The way that we're configuring the location is, this is the entrance over here. There's gonna be a security guard before you get access to anything remotely near the product. This whole room is gonna be for 2, 3, that's all we could really, whatever we can have in the location. IDs are checked, age is verified before they even take a step into where the product is. They need to go around, and even exiting, the security guard is right there. So again, when it comes to safety and consumption, security is obviously was a focal point of our planning.
great, thank you.
So it just says in the impact report, it does say cannabis businesses. It doesn't say just general businesses, so I'm just giving that.
I
feedback.
probably misworded it, it's
Yeah.
regular businesses,
Okay.
because one, there aren't too many cannabis businesses.
Yeah, no,
That
there's,
would be the
I think
purpose.
there's 2 in our community.
Yeah,
so-
second, I probably was just typing,
Yeah,
and just
that's
wrote
fine.
cannabis business over, so my apologies, it's just businesses, local businesses, in the spotlight.
So, I would love to see, once you're open, I would love to see, the publication that you plan to publish 6 times annually.
So,
Just, I'm
I-
not saying, I don't know, I'm just seeing like, is that a possibility? 'Cause that's a lot.
it's doable, it's every 2 months, I
Yeah.
don't know, we use the word publication just because we're used to it and it's print.
Yeah.
Online might make more sense now that the way people consume their information, but that is a goal of ours, to publish and put our fingerprint on the program.
I know,
I don't know what local publication, I mean, you can go with bigger papers that are still considered local. I know there's many ethnic papers that we could also advertise in, publish in if need be, but again, we haven't gotten that far, but the idea is to do it those many times a year.
Yeah. It's not to discourage it.
No.
It's just as someone who does do that for my
Okay.
organization, it's.
So I'm gonna knock on your door and ask
Yeah.
your advice on where I should publish, got it, understood.
Go ahead. I would love, and I'd love to see your example. Also, in regards to this annual report, it sounds like an organization you're kind of selling at this point, but like, are you planning to do that yearly or?
So look,
like-
when obviously I have a heavy footprint on the preparation and Sherwood is a dear friend. We're not doing this to look at just, hey, we're a local mom and pop, yes. But if you wanna, and we used to have this adage when I was younger, you're gonna be IBM, think like IBM. There's no reason we can't have this, because eventually one day this will become mainstream. And Sherwood's getting us foot in the door, but if we don't plan for that next step and these bigger things and this reporting and that, we're never gonna get there. It's just the mindset that maybe why I'm more heavily involved in this than anything else is my relation to Sherwood, but you wanna get there, do it. And yes, I bill him more for these things, but the point being that we need to think like this. And there's no reason you can't do this, because now, especially when you start, if you implement these practices, they'll be there 20 years from now. And I can speak from other clients in other industries, when we start doing these things ahead of time, when they take that next step, whether it's going public or doing whatever, we kind of already have the infrastructure. So, he's made a commitment and he doesn't, he's not against it, so I'm full steam ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And just my last question, and I think this all depends on approval processes, but do you have an estimated opening
So
timeline?
we actually have.
I didn't see it, but I apologize if it's
So
there.
this is all moving quickly as far as on our end, but we
Yeah.
do hope to open very quickly. We are a card holder, so we did take the next steps. We submitted the building permit. We just got approved. We could open in, you're the expert at that, not me. Go ahead.
I would hope to be open before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
we could.
okay.
Merry Christmas,
Yeah,
there you go.
that's awesome.
Just one tip, when we devised this process, we put together the questionnaire, try to speed up the process, because, we feel like it's beneficial to us, it's beneficial to you. If you're gonna be coming before us again, I think we need deeper answers, because just, and you may not know this, but this team here, we are all volunteers. So having to scour through an 89-page document to find answers, so even if you don't wanna repeat yourself, which I totally understand, if you would just sort of say, security plan is on page 9 of this document, please read page 9 to page 12, you'll see other things, that's fine. But some of these answers, like, I felt like the preparation for this meeting was particularly challenging, just because, the answers on here were so brief, and in the documents, the answers were rather exhaustive, which it should be exhaustive, but it just was a lot of work for volunteers. So as you go before, you're not gonna be doing this probably for 3 more years, so you're one and done, but for your
Yes.
sake, if you come before us again or another board, just understand that we put this together just so that you would have an idea as to, cause it tips you off too, it tells you where our head is at, what we are prioritizing in our understanding. And so, a little bit more information would be helpful in the future.
Understood.
And that's sort of why I think we had a lot of questions
Yes.
today.
Fair enough, I understand. Partly, I'm gonna take blame for that, only because I do this all the time, so I have to read through dense documents. I'm like, okay, I gave you the dense documents here, here they are.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that, and absolutely, I definitely would take that to heart, it makes a lot more sense.
But I also wanna say, I'll criticize but also praise, we have not seen a plan like you brought today. I don't think, except for maybe purely, so, thank you for that, that was,
I wish I had it on the stand, I
No,
appreciate it, would have been
we got to hold it,
Yeah.
I got nervous, I went to the wrong
Yeah.
place, I came in, I thought I was running late, I
No,
was
it's
all over
fine.
the place.
We're not going anywhere. Rob, I saw your hand.
Sorry, on that note, do you currently, how many other clients do you currently have in that, is that citywide, statewide?
It's
Am I asking?
statewide, but mostly 5 boroughs in Long Island. So several, I can give you an exact number, but a bunch.
And assuming you guys have been friends for a long time, so you'll be hopefully representing him at
Unfortunately,
franchises
yes.
across America.
Fortunately or unfortunately, let's see which way it goes, but yes, I'll be here for the long haul.
For better or worse, shall we say.
Did you wanna ask that approval versus proposed regulation? Here.
Yes, well, actually, I had a few questions.
Yeah, go ahead, please, ask away.
Okay, ask away.
No, I just wanted to clarify in the community impact plan, there's reference to proposed regulations. Can you
Yes.
speak more on that? Like, are they adopted or these are proposed?
They are, but there are certain regulations, for example, the 3-year limitation is adopted, but it's proposed limitation, because the actual legislation is we can open 3 immediately. So I use the word proposed because things are changing very quickly. If you go on this OCM's thing, they're constantly flip-flopping, changing things, especially when it comes to certain districts. So just as a coverall, I'll use proposed. And obviously, if they're adopting it, whether it's final or not, it's the law. But to me, it's, legally speaking, it's proposed because it's not the actual rule. So maybe it's too much, again, legalese on my end, but that's just the verbiage I'm used to using.
Okay, thank you. Also, apologies if I missed, did you speak on how you vet growers?
So we, and correct me if I'm wrong, sure, but we have to go through the state's implemented their seeding program, whatever there is, whatever they call it.
So it's a seed to sale, and we have to actually go through manufacturers. The growers give to the processors, and we purchase from the processors after it's been tested and approved.
See, I think from what I understand is that they don't get to like select their own. They have to go through like the steps, like they don't get to be like, oh, we want that person, they have to
Yeah,
go through.
there's like an approved vendors
Yeah.
list type of scenario where we have to go through them, and obviously the ones that are more popular would stay, it's the business at the end of the day, but we don't have much of a say in who we can vet or how deeply we can go.
Got it, thank you.
Any more questions?
Do one more. So I see that you had mentioned that that's your logo on the document. Is that, so I know that the OCM has strict regulations on the signage that goes outside. Is that all that's gonna say is token?
It's gonna say token cannabis comp, just like you see on the top right corner.
Okay.
I think Sherwood's approach, you can see it look very clean approach, it's not gonna
Yeah.
be tacky and a bunch of different words and a bunch of different colors. Plans to keep it clean, so it's just gonna be this.
Yeah. I don't think you do colors actually.
I don't think you can,
Yeah.
so we're going very clean.
Okay. And nothing else, like, cause I think one of the biggest things we worry about is the younger population and like bright lights and
No.
beautiful things like that. That's not allowed. So I just want to make
Nope.
sure that
No.
okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Also, as far as beyond what we would like or what the other someone like, the doesn't want any of that as well, so, we gotta keep it as,
Do you have to abide by the landlord's policies? I think most of those signs are red and white.
I think there's the
Like
building
red
policy,
letters.
but the landlord itself owns the unit. So there's the
Okay.
building rules and regulations, which he did forward to me, but then he has his own restrictions in place, that what he's okay with, what he's not okay with. He's actually a very religious man, so this
Got
was
it.
a tough sell as it was, so, you know, we're not gonna rock that boat if we don't have to.
And this is not a question, this is just a statement, and I know you said you're on the second floor, so it's probably not gonna pertain to you, but just so you're aware, sure would. That area flooded like a year ago or 2 years ago, so just letting you know
I
that.
heard there was a lot
There's
of
no
water
black-
in that,
We make sure there's no black mold or anything like that.
yeah, 100%, I'll do a full investigation on that. Yeah, I heard the parking garage was completely
Yeah.
flooded.
Yeah.
Scary.
All the businesses, like the lower businesses were all
Mhm.
flooded too. My doctor's office used to be there and it got moved upstairs to one of the other retail
Gotcha.
floors.
Well, I hope to see you very often, you know?
You might, you know. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions?
So
Okay, I think,
Yeah, I think we're done.
I do,
oh, go ahead.
board training, do you track training hours for employees?
Meaning, like,
I saw somewhere in here about hands-on training.
I think that's for the community plan, the incubator plan, that we hands-on training for the potential beneficiaries. But was that in
Okay.
question related to that, or our staff in general?
Well, I was thinking it was for staff in general. Okay, thank you for that
Yeah, it would be,
clarification.
you know, not only would there be training on site, obviously, the POS company has committed to training up to 6 hours per employee or whatever it takes. The, certain brands will come in and obviously teach them about the product, but also safe handling, security measures. We really gonna go deep dive into our security cages, product. There's gonna be no product, obviously we can't display anything, keep anything, so how it's going from there, there's gonna be thorough, yeah, procedures in the back, security areas here, there's gonna be no actual live product here. Orders placed, one person runs it in accordingly to the cashier, and we bag it, and you leave.
So, great.
Nice and simple.
Are you just doing debit cards or are you also taking cash payment?
We are taking cash, but debit cards, and then I think those are the only two forms of payment.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think the next thing is they're invited, we asked them to come to our meeting.
Yes, October 9th.
Yes.
It'll be next week. It's literally at Borough Hall, which is just down the street. In room 213, there will be security when you come through to the building. We're on the second floor. We will ask you, there will probably be some questions similar to tonight. We do circulate to our board, the questionnaire that you completed for us and the video as well, so,
Would you like me to redo the questionnaire with more detail, as you
I
suggested?
would say I will
Yes.
add the page, anything that you do a reference to the document, just say where, so it's easier, otherwise.
What
you
I'll do is
probably get
I'll give a
lot of
summary, and then
questions.
I'll point in the right direction of the attachment.
that'd be great. Today
Yes.
is Tuesday. Is Thursday too hard to get that to us by? 'Cause we
End
like
of
to
day
do-
Thursday, I can do
Yeah,
it.
end
Okay.
of day Thursday, because that way we can get it to our board for Friday distribution.
That's fine.
It gives them, because, again, our board is volunteer, it gives them the weekend
No, I understand.
to look.
And, is it intended for us to do a formal presentation there as well?
No, not at all.
Can we bring signage?
Yes.
I was
Oh,
gonna say,
yeah,
I
great.
encourage you to bring that
Yes.
sign.
Heavily
Yes.
encouraged.
Might blow it up a little bit more, just my advice, but
No,
yes.
because that's gonna be
Very
easier,
good.
that's gonna be easier to pass at that size.
Okay, so maybe we'll have both, one for
Yeah.
display and one to pass.
But if you could, when you're sending over the updated form, if you could maybe attach
The
the
PDF?
logo as said in the actual, because then we can show that on Friday too, so that people can
Yes.
see it before the meeting
Sure.
as well.
We
So,
appreciate this,
Yeah.
and if you have any, and you can just send it to the email address you've been corresponding to, that should be fine.
mhm.
Is everyone satisfied with questions?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for
For
us?
us?
Besides the obvious advice you gave us pertaining to this, just any other input you guys would have would be helpful. Maybe not so much for Sherwood if he's there, but myself as well. Because like I said, it's not something that we're just here and then we're not here tomorrow. So any other advice, I definitely would love to hear it.
I think the flood advice was solid.
Yes.
Yes.
I will tell you that the folks who live in that condo there, were greatly concerned when the shelter came in, just because how smack up it is to that other building. I think some of those folks who were concerned about that will also have those same concerns about a dispensary opening, there. So I would just continue what you're doing. Since you're from the community, that might be good to just be a good bridge to those relationships and, you know, for your business sake, kind of like, you know, introduce yourselves. Any other advice?
I would just, oh, go ahead, Robert.
Sorry to chime in there. And you know, I glanced at your lease. Illegal dispensaries in the community constantly have their door wide open, music blaring. Did you plan on having amplified
Oh,
sound?
good question.
No.
You know, I would strongly recommend not to have
No.
amplified sound because.
Look, I've seen, and you know, obviously I had an office in Manhattan as well, there's so many legal dispensaries. I think the one thing that turned me off to them and kind of maybe shifted my legal practice a little bit to this was, you know, the crowd that you're kind of inviting in seems to be very different. Whereas, and I compare this, and when I was talking to Sherwood about this location in general, I look at it as more of a nice fine wine location, where the clientele you wanna attract is more well-to-do, upscale, people coming in that will probably, A, spend more money, and B, you know, they're not looking for a younger, you know, base of people who are doing, it's still like those illegal shops, when I walk past them, give me the vibe like I'm not supposed to be here, and I won't walk in myself. Whereas if it's something more, you know, obviously natural colors was the theme that Sherwood kind of went with, and a different vibe is what we're going for.
A little more modern, a little more, you know, upscale.
Perfect. It's a little classical music.
Classical.
Might be.
So just a suggestion, because I know this is going to be asked a lot regarding the shelters that are in the community, because they are still new in people's mind. I know you mentioned to us that you're going to work with those shelters because they're the ones who are the professionals and know. I would go ahead and
Reach out.
just say like I've reached out to them to have those conversations, because that's what they're gonna, just so they know like you've done the due diligence to at least try to start that process. Just suggesting it.
No, I
Not saying
mean,
you have to.
doesn't hurt, so absolutely, first thing on the agenda for tomorrow,
Yeah.
sure.
Do we have their,
I'll get
their
it.
information?
Simple.
If you need to, send an email to the office, maybe our district manager can help facilitate that.
Oh, okay, fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Good.
we could try that, yeah, right, Barbara?
Yeah.
Our district manager is working remotely this week, she's come back from vacation with a horrible sickness.
Yeah, she mentioned in the email, Mrs. Nolan, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so, but she's still working every day, I've spoken to her both days. So thankful for that. But I think that's it. I mean, listen, both homeless shelters and cannabis, are seen by some people in the community as problems.
Mhm.
But they're also seen by some people in this community as solutions to a problem. The controlled distribution of marijuana, or cannabis, I'm sorry, I'm a Gen X kid, you know, what are you gonna do? Is fixing some problems that have been broken for a long time. There's gonna be a level of control that we haven't had. And our shelters that we have at the other end also are solving a problem. And I think we're grateful for problem solvers. So don't think that everyone that has a beef with you represents the entire community. Because there is a faction of this community that does see that both shelters and cannabis dispensaries that are legalized by the state do solve certain problems for us. So I just wanted to express that to you so that you're not looking at us as this big scary body of people. We're not big and scary.
Very nice.
We're
Clearly not.
very nice.
No, listen, much appreciated, and I think it goes back to what we are kind of trying to put together, maybe preliminarily or maybe too early, but education. So it is something new, and we anticipate, but the beauty of it is we get to kind of form the narrative of the education, and genuinely, the goal is to have an establishment that, you know, is upstanding, not something that's just here for a quick dollar and leaving tomorrow.
Agreed.
I
All
want the
right.
board to brag about us.
Yeah, we don't mind that.
Yeah, no.
All right, I think that's it.
That's it,
So-
thank you so much.
Thank you guys, thank you all very
You're
much.
very welcome.
Thank you guys very much for your time.
We'll
Appreciate
see
it.
you
Trip
next
home.
Wednesday.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Just lock them out?
Yeah.
Do I remove the?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Gotta use that. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break.
Is the camera on?
Oh, thanks. Sorry, Heather. Sorry.